Who is Biddy Early? She's the namesake of a cocktail bar in Kilkenny, the titular character of a play by Brian McMahon, and her house has drawn both Irish and foreigners alike to the often overlooked town of Feakle. But who is the woman behind the legend? Born Bridget Connors in Faha Mountain, County Clare, in 1798 to John and Ellen Connors, Biddy often went by her mother's maiden name, Early. From a young age, Biddy did not fit into any mold, but she learned a great deal about herbs and other medicinal plants from her mother. While this was not uncommon for the time, Meta Ryan's book Biddy Early, The Wise Woman of Clare, suggests Biddy's obsession was often mistaken for otherworldly communication, as stories surfaced about her sitting in a field talking to the fairies. There was even speculation that she herself was one of the fairies. Unfortunately, when Biddy was only 16 years old, her mother died, and her father passed 6 months later. Finding herself alone in the world, Biddy began to make her way as a traveling woman, working odd jobs and residing in the homes of her employers. During her travels, she began to make use of the herbal treatments and cures she had learned from her mother, and quickly gained a reputation as a healer. Around this time, she also met and married Pat Malley, a man twice her age. Pat died early into the marriage, leaving Biddy a widow at age 25. Soon after, she found a new husband, John Malley, her stepson. As time passed, her notoriety grew as tales of her miraculous cures and foresight spread across the country. She was known as a healer and as a wise woman, a ban fasa in Irish, and was commonly thought to be in communication with the fairies. Her second husband, John, died from a liver ailment in 1840, and Biddy married her third husband, Tom Flannery. They moved into the infamous cottage at Kilbarron that tourists still visit today. It is here that she became connected to a small, darkly colored bottle thought to be the source of many of her powers. In 1865, at 67 years old, Biddy was charged of witchcraft. She was put on trial in Ennis, but nobody was willing to speak ill of the woman who had healed so many of their friends and family members. Her name held a lot of power in the community, and though she was revered for her generosity and compassion, she was also feared. Biddy became cranky and a little bit absent-minded later in life, and this may have contributed to the accusations brought forth associating her with witchcraft. With no evidence brought forth, charges were dropped, and Biddy was never convicted. After almost 30 years of marriage, Tom died in 1868, and despite her advanced age, Biddy was married one last time, to Thomas Meany. 6 years later, Biddy passed. It was the 22nd of April, 1874. The lore surrounding Biddy Early's life is divorced from hard fact, and is instead steeped in legend and fantasy. As a wise woman and as a mystic woman, her role is very important in the stability and well-being of the community, and as Richard Jenkins states in his work, The Transformation of Biddy Early, she served as an informed ritual specialist, a member of the community who not only healed, but claimed to find lost property, predict the future, cure bad luck, and even protect people from dark supernatural forces. Her role also involved mediating disagreements with the fairies over the violation of their ancient land rights, and obviously this role required a mediator with special powers, which Biddy was more than qualified for. The importance of Biddy's communication with the fairies is prominent in both the facts and the legends that surround her life, and it is even said that the fairies were the source of the magical blue bottle that Biddy used for curing and prophesying. The bottle was supposedly full of a dark healing liquid, and Biddy would often mix it with other herbal cures. It's important to reiterate that Biddy didn't solely rely on charms, like many other wise women of the past. She was said to have known how to cure sterility and treat fairy children or changelings with the herbs that she gathered herself. She was supposed to be able to divine future events from the bottle, akin to a crystal ball and other folklore surrounding mystic women. Biddy was known to be a compassionate woman, refusing to take anything from those she could not serve. If she did accept gifts, it usually came in the form of whiskey or other small trifles, but never surpassing a shilling or two. Also, despite her reputation, Biddy never guaranteed that any specific ailment could be cured. She would even refuse to see patients if she believed that they were destined to die, putting her in a very powerful position. Biddy's home became a busy place, with many people circulating through day in and day out. Her home was also a popular place of merrymaking, which brought a great deal of disapproval from the local elites, including the Catholic Church, doctors and physicians, landlords, and the police. This later brought conflict as those in these male-dominated professions resented the work she was doing in the community that they could not do themselves. What is interesting is that Biddy would often direct people to the local parish priest, telling them to heed the clergyman's advice. Indeed, most of her cures involved the invocation of the Holy Trinity, and she was a devout Christian woman in her own way. Even with this respect of Christ and the Church, the priests resented her because she did what they did not directly do, and that was healing. Many of the clergymen believed that if they did cure, they would be letting the devil into them, and would be forsaking their morality. Near the end of her life, and especially after her charge of witchcraft, she attempted to reconcile with the Church. At her funeral in 1874, a total of 27 parish priests attended to pay their respects, and one parish priest even declared her a saint. Though we can never be sure what is fact and what is fiction, the legends surrounding Biddy Early still thrive today and will continue to flourish.